Well, today I'm down at Twynersh Fishery, which is actually a complex of lakes set in Chertsey, which is in Surrey. And I say a complex of lakes, and that's because there's 8 different lakes to choose from, as you can see on the board here. So in this video, I'm going to talk you through all of the lakes and what they have to offer, because every lake is a little bit different. There's day ticket lakes, there's lake exclusives, and there's even a members lake as well. So let's jump into it, and let's start with pit 1. So pit 1 really is the runs water of the complex, and if you want a day where you're going to catch loads of fish, it's definitely the one to head for. Or if you are newer to fishing and you just want to get a little bit of action, again, it is the ideal lake for that sort of situation. At 1 acre in size and 16 swims to choose from, there is plenty of options on where you might want to go. A couple of the swims are actually double swims as well, so if you do come down with a friend and you want a bit of a social, then that works perfectly. But there's also a couple of float fishing only swims as well, so if you're more into the match sort of style of fishing, then there are a couple of swims dedicated for that. In terms of the stock, there is plenty of carp ranging from single figures all the way up to mid doubles, and then there's even a few 20s as well, with the biggest coming out this year at around £25. But if it's not the carp you're after, there's good tench up to £8, and there's even bream up to £12. Now, one thing to note about pit 1 is it's the only lake on the complex which is days only fishing. So you can't do nights on here, it is purely a day ticket lake and days only. Well, this is the old match lake, but don't let that name deter you, because it is definitely not an easy lake and there are some very cool fish in here. This is the lake that I've actually been fishing during my time here, and so has Ian and Curly. And Curly's actually had a few of them as well, and they are old, cool fish. They're not huge, they go up to about £28, so it's still a good size to go for, but they are very nice, dark old fish, and the 4 that Curly's had so far have all been absolutely immaculate. The lake itself is 2.4 acres in total and has 20 swims dotted around it. And there's plenty of different styles of angling. There's loads of different features around the lake, whether that's the island, whether it's gravel bars, whether it's lily pads. There really is something that caters for every angler and every ability. The swims are a variety of shapes and sizes. Some of them offer chances to have a bit of a social, where you could use them as double swims, but there's also a few nice swims that are tucked away. So if you want to come up here and have a little bit of time to yourself, then you can get yourself hidden away in a little corner where there's most certainly lots of carp. So pit 2 is what's classed as a specimen day ticket lake of the Twynersh complex, with fish up to and over £40. It's 2.4 acres in size and has 14 swims, so every one of those swims is well spread out, you've got your own water, and it's not so much geared up at socials, it's more geared at the angler that's wanting to break their PB. The biggest fish that's come out this year was £41 6 ounces, but it's not the only big fish in the lake. There's a good head of 30s as well to back it up, an even better head of 20s, and then a good number of mid to upper doubles. So the odds are, if you catch a couple of fish during a session, there's a good chance you've got a 20-pounder on the bank. So pit 3 holds some of the biggest carp on the complex, with the biggest one this year coming out at £46 10 ounces, and supposedly it's still growing. Now there are backup 40s as well, supposedly there's about 3 or 4 different 40s at the right time of year, so it's a pretty decent lake, and it's actually one of the bigger lakes on the complex at 3.5 acres. Now there's 12 different swims to choose from, but unfortunately it is a members only lake, so it's worth putting into this video because it is part of the complex, and I think it's one of those where you've kind of got to earn your stripes by fishing other lakes on the complex before you can actually move on to this lake. But on our lap around the lake, we did actually bump into someone very special with a very special carp. So I'm going to pass you over now.
Well, now you're very angry. What a wonderful way to open my account on Twynersh Fisheries Pit 3. Yeah, incredible fish, £33 and 12 ounces, and yeah, fought like an absolute animal. I think they recently spawned, and yeah, I couldn't ask for more really. What a wonderful fish. Light my fire! Yes!
Now, it's not all about carp here at Twynersh, and Pit 5 is more of a match style lake. Back in 2019, there was about 800 pounds of bream stocked into here. So if bream's your thing, then this is going to be the lake for you, because they were actually stocked up to 14 pounds as well. There was also 300 pounds of roach stocked. However, this lake is going through a bit of a transition period, and it's going to become more of a specimen crucian lake over the coming months. So a lot of the bream will be moved out, a lot of the lake's actually going to be re-landscaped, I guess, and it's going to become the perfect habitat for crucian carp. If there's a bigger group of you, then Pit 6 is going to be the one you want to go for. Now, this can only be booked as a lake exclusive, and this has 8 swims on the actual lake, and they usually recommend to have 6 people or up to 6 people, so then that gives you a bit of room to move around if you need to. In terms of cost, it costs £185 for 24 hours, and then £175 per 24 hour after that. So basically, with some quick maths, it works out that if there's 6 of you on the lake, over 48 hours, it's going to cost you about 60 quid per person, which for a lake exclusive is pretty reasonable, especially when you consider the stock. So you'll be pleased to know that there are also VS fish in this lake. Now, there was about 60 of them stocked before opening, and they were 10 to 25 pounds. So there's a good mixture and a pretty good average size, but there are also some originals as well, and these go up to about 35 pounds. So it is the perfect venue for a social, and the biggest that's come out in 2023 so far is £32. And also, with this being a lake exclusive and obviously geared up for socials, there is a nice lodge which has got pretty much all your home comforts. You've got electricity in there, you've got fridges, so there's a nice area that you can all congregate, you can do a barbecue there, and then obviously you can go away to your swims to fish for the night. So out of all the lakes in the complex, Pit 7 is really the one to watch. At 2 acres in size, with 14 swims, 5 of those being double swims, it really is the perfect venue for a social. When you combine that with an impressive stock of big, scaly carp, it really is a lake worth considering on your visit to Twynersh. Within the last few years, Twynersh has kept to a pretty strict stocking programme, and that's seen a good number of fish introduced into this lake, between 13 to 35 pounds, and some of those fish have come from the iconic VS fisheries. So if you are looking for, like I said earlier, a big scaly carp, then Pit 7 is definitely the one to go for. And last but not least is Pit 4, and there's a reason I've saved this one to the end, and that is because it is currently under development. Now, it's actually the biggest lake in the complex at 4.5 acres, but the future is a little bit uncertain as to whether it's going to be a day ticket, a syndicate, like as in another members lake, or if it's going to be a lake exclusive. But knowing how all the other lakes are at Twynersh, I'm sure it's going to be filled with absolute bangers. So I think we can all agree that this definitely is a complex that has something for everyone and for every angling ability. Now, one last thing to mention is going to be the on-site tackle shop, which is stocked with pretty much anything you might need during a session. There's even some cold drinks and bits and pieces in there as well. So it's well worth heading there if you need anything. And it's probably worth noting as well that this is sponsored by NGT. The whole shop, the whole complex is owned and sponsored by the same guys that own NGT. So if you like their products, you'll be able to find a good host of their range actually in this tackle shop. There are even future plans to extend the tackle shop to include a cafe, so it's actually a nice place just to come if you want to come for a couple of hours fishing and come with your partner, your friends, your family, whoever you want to come with, or if you're doing a longer session and then you want to come over and meet them for a little bit of lunch during your session, then there is scope for that as well. But like I say, they're future plans, so they're not quite here yet, but they will be soon. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, then please do like and subscribe to CARPology on YouTube. It really does make a difference to us. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.